And we welcome you into Dodger Poke Report, where this afternoon we have a very, very, very special guest, outfielder in the Dodgers organization. Ryan Ward joins us on Dodger Poke Report. Ryan, I want to thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah, no problem. I'm excited to be here.
Okay, man, I got to start this with a little personal stuff just to put you on the spot here a little bit. How'd the golf game go today? Did you leave any birdie putts short? That's the biggest part of this whole thing.
Actually, no, I was partnered up with Brandon Lewis today. We ended up shooting 7 under today in a little scramble that we did. So we played really well. He made a lot of the putts. I didn't really have to do much on the greens.
Okay, so scramble. Are you the first guy that sets the tone so everybody else can go for it, or do you let everybody else go for it so you can just, or do you let everybody else hit it down the middle so then you can go for it?
Yeah, today he was first. Just put one out safe, and then I was trying to get it out there as far as I could.
Fantastic. And if anybody's ever seen Ryan Ward hit a baseball, I've never seen you hit a golf ball. I've seen you hit a lot of baseballs. I'll bet you can hit one a mile because you can certainly do that with a baseball. I got to ask you, I've seen you hit many, many, many times. And, you hit over 400 at Bryant, and you're the only hitter to ever do that. And you followed that up with a 382 season, two of the best seasons that a Bulldog has ever seen at the collegiate level. You struck out one time your senior year in high school. So obviously your hit tool's elite. Who taught you how to hit as a kid? I want to know. I've got to send all of my kids to that hitting instructor.
Yeah, I kind of just worked with my dad my entire life. Really up until high school where I started to learn some like new things, but growing up it was me and my dad.
Man, that's a lot of fun, and I'm sure, as time went on, sometimes I talk to professionals and with all the analytics out there and all the great instructors they have, I've talked to a few of them that said, you know what, whenever I'm struggling just a little bit, I always go back to my dad because it just goes back to my roots and it just kind of makes me feel comfortable. Are you in that boat too?
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes like when I'm struggling and nothing's working, it's just a simple phone call. Sometimes our dads know us better than sometimes we know ourselves. So it's good to just hear that voice coming in from him.
All right, Millbury, Massachusetts. You're right there on the turnpike. You're in a very legendary area of the United States, exactly halfway in between Boston and Springfield. I'm going to assume you might have grown up a Boston Red Sox fan. Would that be correct?
That would be correct, yeah.
Yeah, so when you got the call to be a Dodger, I'm sure you're very excited. But how do the people around you take that as far as Millbury, Massachusetts went?
Everyone kind of reacted well. Especially since like the Los Angeles Dodgers, like that's a huge name in sports. So when I got drafted by them, it was huge. Everyone was really excited for me.
Let's take you back to your high school days. You're a senior at Millbury Memorial High School. Woolley, is that correct? The Woolies?
Yeah, Woolley.
Fantastic.
Yeah, Woolley.
In Oklahoma here, we're kind of renowned for Wampus Cats and all those kinds of neat names here in Oklahoma. So when I saw that name Woolley, man, I thought that was really cool. So you had a great high school career there at Memorial High School. You only struck out one time your entire senior year. You got a lot of attention from scouts. You didn't end up getting drafted. So kind of take us through that process.
Yeah, high school was fun. I was like you've said, like a really small town. My graduating class, like 80 kids. It was really small. Yeah, really, really small school. So it was great growing up, being able to play with all my friends, being able to play high school baseball. I started to become friends with kids older than me too, because I was playing up at the varsity level at a younger age. So it was really good for me to be able to learn from the older guys and still be able to play with all my friends that I grew up with.
You end up not getting drafted. You choose to go to Bryant. You get off to a very fast start there. I want to back up a little bit before we talk about your career as a Bulldog. Talk about the coach that you chose to play for, Steve Owens, one of the best, I believe he's at Rutgers right now, but one of the best coaches in the history of college baseball. If you just look up and down the line, this guy is amazing. He's produced multiple draft picks, including yourself. So talk about your decision to be a Bryant Bulldog.
Yeah, coming out of high school, I didn't really get much college attention. So when Bryant reached out, we went to visit. It was the first school I had visited. I was still learning the recruitment process, how everything worked. So we drove down. Bryant was like 35 minutes from my house. I always had dreams of going to a big school, like a huge school, wanted to play. So we went down there. Coach O met us down there. He showed us around, talked to us. We were probably there for like four hours with him, just hanging out, learning about the school, learning about the classroom sizes, everything. And, I fell in love with it. We left. I drove away with my parents. The first thing I said to them was like, this is where I'm coming. Like, I'm telling you, it's going to end up being here.
Yeah.
I fell in love with it, and it was the perfect school for me. The small classes, like I said, coming from a small school, if I was at a school where there was huge classes, like, it would have been tough for me. Like, it was good to get to know professors and be like on a first name basis with people, and it was a perfect fit for me.
You talk about the perfect fit. I'm assuming you were very comfortable from day one when you put foot on campus, because you got off to a very, very fast start. You started as a true freshman. You started your first 8 games as a true freshman. Then you come in, you dive after a ball, you break your wrist. You end up having to shut down that season. So talk about the start you got off, how exciting that was being on campus, getting to start your first 8 games, and then how disappointing it was having to shut it down.
Yeah, no, it was great. Freshman year, we opened up in New Mexico State. It was a blast. I was nervous. I had all the jitters, the butterflies, everything was going. But I think it was the second game of the weekend or the third. I hit my first home run. Next at bat, I hit another one too, and kind of just took off from there. It was kind of like, oh, like, to be here. It was great. And then we went to Arkansas after that. Had another good weekend. And then Liberty, I remember Friday at Liberty was the coldest game to date that I've ever played in my life. It was miserable.
And this is coming from a guy from Massachusetts. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was a miserable day there, but yeah, dove for a fly ball, broke the wrist, ended up having surgery and everything. What I thought originally was like, oh, I broke my wrist, like I'll be out, but I'll be able to come back this year, especially since it was early in the year. And then ending up, I had to have surgery and everything, was going to miss some time. It hurt a lot, but also in saying that, it helped me learn a ton. I was able to sit there all year. I traveled to every game. I was at home games, away games, everywhere. They let me go with them everywhere. So being able to sit there, talk and pick some of the guys' brains that were playing, that were on the bench, the coaches, everything, just kind of learning how the game was played at the Division I level, what was expected, what pitchers were going to throw in certain counts, because pitchers end up having a tendency to be very repetitive. It's just something that you got to notice and pay attention to. So learning all that, it was really good for me. It helped me learn and get ready for the next year to come back stronger.
You being the gym rat type of guy in terms of the game of baseball, I'm assuming that they put you on the chart so you could learn all those things while they were playing.
Yeah,
you strike me as that guy.
I had a clipboard everywhere I went. They made sure I had a job to do.
Yeah, and talking about coming back, you got a medical red shirt that year that you broke your wrist. You came back and you hit, let me get this stat correct, because you're the only hitter to ever hit over 400. You hit exactly 409 the year that you came back, and you only struck out 32 times in your entire high school career. So when you talk, your entire college career. So when you talk about your entire college career, your senior year of high school, you only strike out 3 times. You hit 409, then you back that up that next year with a high 300 average. Then you get drafted by the Dodgers. What is it that has made you, has it been a conscious effort as you've grown up? You talk about hitting with your dad, the ability to put the ball in play. Is that something you've concentrated on as you've grown up, or is that just something you've always been natural with?
Yeah, it's something that I've focused on, like being able to put the bat on the ball. Striking out, I hate striking out, so like I'll do whatever I can to put a ball in play. But growing up, like I never really was like a pull hitter, so I was always like, if I was on, I was going over the shortstop's head. So honestly, like being that way growing up allowed me to learn how to let the ball travel. So coming up in the levels, I was able to like see balls deeper. The faster it's coming, like I had the ability to be like, oh, okay, I can catch up to that and foul it off. I can hit it the other way. And that was a big thing for me. I think that's helped me greatly with my strikeout numbers as well. Like just the fact that I can trust myself to let a ball get real deep, like uncomfortably deep, and just get to it when I have to.
You ever heard the Todd Helton story and how he used to take batting practice and how his first, I believe, 10 cuts, he tried to hit in the opposite field dugout every time he did that? That reminds me of that story. Yeah, every time he would take BP, his first 10 or 11 swings, he would not allow himself to hit the ball past. Of course, he was left-handed, so the opposite field dugout would be the third base dugout. And just listening to you talk, that was kind of his triggering mechanism to get his timing going for the day, so it worked for him. And, looking at your percentages as far as your pull percentages, your opposite field percentages, your up the middle percentages, you hit the ball like something like 35% of the time up the middle. So you love using the middle of the field, don't you?
Yeah, I do. That's my bread and butter right there.
Yeah, and that's a deal to where whenever you can learn to use the middle of the field, that makes you a much better hitter. So you post two very impressive years. You hit 409. I've got to ask you because I've never done it. Nobody in Bryant history has ever done it. How much pressure is it when you know you're hitting over 400 and you want to finish the season because that's a magical number? Did you feel that, or was that something you didn't even know about till the end?
Honestly, it wasn't really the average that I was paying attention to. It was kind of the hit count because I knew that I had a chance to break the NEC record for hits. So that kind of had more of my attention than the average during that year. So that kind of honestly helped. I mean, if I never even really thought about the average, and I'm sure if that was in the back of my head, that would have been picking away. So I'm really glad that it never popped in.
Yeah, awesome. So then you get drafted 8th round, 2019 by the Dodgers, and I'm sure that was just an extremely exciting moment. You talk about being a kid from a very small town. You graduated with under 100 kids. I'm very familiar with that formula in Oklahoma because a lot of our high schools in Oklahoma are that way. So I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't know if you know the story of Jordy Mercer. He was a shortstop with the Pittsburgh Pirates for several years, but he graduated from Tologa, Oklahoma, with less than 10 kids in his graduating class. In fact, it was so small, they don't have sports anymore. So I know exactly what you mean when you say you came from a small school. So you went all the way from that to getting drafted by the Los Angeles Dodgers, one of the biggest franchises of any sport. So that had to be had to have been quite a whirlwind for you, didn't it?
Yeah, that was an extremely exciting moment. That was an extremely exciting day. Everything leading up to it was honestly the best time of my life. Times I'll never forget.
Take us through that day. Take us through the emotions, the phone calls you got, the text message you got, the moments leading up, the nerve-wracking moments, and then the excitement of hearing your name.
Yeah. So basically, I was at home with my family. I kept it really small because like you never really know what's going to happen on draft day. So I didn't want to have this huge party. Nothing happened. So my friends were all went to my buddy's house. They were watching. I know all my family was watching, and I had my close family with me. It was a roller coaster though, watching the rounds go by and just like being like, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? Is it going to happen? And then actually my buddy, so we were streaming it from my laptop. So we were a little bit behind. My buddy texted me, he was like, congratulations, buddy. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, oh, the Dodgers. And I was like, what? And I looked up and it was like, LA's on the clock. And I was like, oh my God, like we got to pay attention. It's about to happen, guys. Like everyone pay attention. And we all jumped through the roof. I was so excited. My phone started blowing up, all my friends reaching out, my family. There's no words to describe what I felt in that moment. It was amazing.
Well, and the kind of the irony of that is you growing up a Red Sox fan, they had just beaten the Dodgers in the World Series in 2017. So that was probably really cool for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I also got a couple chirps from my friends about that, of course, but all in good fun. It was a good time.
Yeah, I'll bet. So you get your Dodgers career started, and for the crop of Dodgers like you that got to play in Ogden in the rookie level for the last time. Of course, Ogden doesn't exist anymore. For the last time in rookie ball, cool for you that you got to play for Austin Chubb in 2019. Then he went to the Dominican Summer League, and now he's the High A Great Lakes manager. So you've gotten to play for him for 2 seasons as a Dodger, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. He's a great guy. We've developed a really close relationship over those 2 years in spring training. We talk all the time. He's a great guy, great manager. I love him to death. He's always got our backs.
So we talked about your strikeout rate being just ridiculously low, your batting averages being ridiculously high. You get to the professionals, I don't think it's any secret the Dodgers like their guy. They don't mind their guys striking out a little bit more than you have in your career. They like guys to hit maybe for a little bit more power than maybe you have in the past. So as you become a Dodger, have you tried to adjust anything as far as the type of hitter that you want to be as a professional?
I haven't really adjusted the type of hitter I want to be. However, I've made incredible swing changes. Yeah. I mean, as soon as I got here, everything got revamped. I used to be a no stride, wide base, like early rotational swinger. Then they kind of like progressed me into a toe tap, and now I'm into a full leg kick, which at first it was difficult. I didn't know the timing. I struggled last season. Last spring training, actually, I had one hit the entire spring training. It was a disaster. I had no idea what was going on. So going into the year, I was a little hesitant about what was going to happen, but everything ended up working out. And with the new swing, I gained a ton of power. I learned that I can elevate balls. I can get them out of the park. And I didn't really lose much of my bat control, my bat to ball, either I was still going to put balls in play. I struck out a little more than I wanted to last year, but I mean, that's going to happen.
Sure.
Strikeouts are going to happen. So just trusting the process, trusting I know what I'm doing, and my coaches are helping me. They have my back, and just going from there. It's been a real good time.
So baseball is hard enough, especially at the professional level. You know, hitting a baseball is the hardest thing in the history of time. I don't care what anybody says. It's just insanely difficult. You're trying to do all that while making swing adjustments. I can only imagine how difficult that was. So after having done that, did you ever have that eureka moment where with your new adjustments you made, you went, oh, well, that's it. I get it now. Did you ever have that moment?
I did. I had it last year, probably about like two weeks. I think it was the second week of the season against West Michigan. I hit a pull side home run on a pitch that I hadn't been able to do anything with in the past. And like, I felt my body, I felt everything stay connected and hit it. And was like, that was it. Like, that's what they've been talking about. That's what I've been searching for. And it kind of just went from there, like kind of got into a groove.
So you've added that power. And what's exciting for me about you is that, you know, you still have that base to where you can just use your hands. You're a great, what I call a handsy hitter. You allow your hands just to go right to the ball, which allows you to let the ball get deep. So you've added this power, but yet you still have the base of being able to use your hands and use the middle of the field. So it really sets up to be a type of hitter that could be really complete, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I hope so. I've been playing with some stuff too this spring training. Just kind of learning to like test myself, see what I can do. Maybe like sit with sit in the certain count, like sit on an off-speed pitch, and just trust that if they throw a heater, I can just foul it off late. Like I said earlier, like seeing it deep. Just playing around with some stuff and seeing what works, what doesn't, and just trying to become the most complete hitter I can be.
Do you miss playing second base much?
Not really. I
No.
can't say I do. I got kind of tossed in the fire there at Bryant. I mean, I loved it. I had fun. I got to play next to one of my best friends who was playing first base at the time, actually. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, no, I'm enjoying the outfield again.
Very, very good. You get off to a great start 2019 with Ogden, and then obviously 2020 gets killed with the COVID situation. So you had a lot of momentum. You know, you had a great career at Bryant. You had a great start in 2019. You have all this momentum, then it shuts down. So how did you continue that momentum through 2020?
Yeah. So that 2020 season was kind of where I planned on making the change from the toe tap into the leg kick.
Okay,
so
good.
I was able to basically use 2020 to kind of try and find that middle ground, which I did and I didn't, because like I said, I went into the 2021 spring training, got one hit. So just working on that and going from there, I was able to get my body healthy, get strong, just relax, rest up, and focus on what I thought needed to be done.
Well, I would say that, you know, you recovered from that one hit in 2021 spring training. I'm going to look to my right here in a second because I want to get all these numbers right. 2021, listen to this, fans. 36 multiple hit games. Okay, 36 multiple hit games. 2 7-game hit streaks, 1 8-game hit streak. You've had streaks where you hit safely in 16 to 20 games in May, 20 out of 23 between late June, early July, 17 of 20 in August, and 10 out of 12 in September. Wow. What a 2021 you had. You have to feel like you're carrying a lot of momentum into 2022.
Yeah, no, I do. I feel like I'm on a good path. I trust what I'm feeling. I like my swing. I trust my coaches around me, and I'm just trying to continue that momentum going forward.
Talking about your swing, the way that you hit, you know, most of the time when you hit, of course, the goal is to have perfect timing every time you swing at a ball. Obviously, hitting's all about timing, but that only happens less than a handful of times a year where you actually have perfect timing. So really what makes a good hitter are hitters that can still hit the ball hard when their timing's not perfect. And watching you, you're one of the best hitters I have seen in a long time of still creating hard contact when your timing's not perfect. What would you attribute that to?
Yeah, I'm attributing that to the new swing change I made. I know for a fact there's a home run I hit last year in Wisconsin on a slider down and in that I buried myself into the ground and was able to still like flick one up into the air into right field. And that was kind of one of those moments that you were talking about too. It was like, wow, like I can do that. But yeah. Honestly, learning the fact that, so basically when I'm off time, if I'm early, I've learned the move that I can sink into my front leg a little bit more just to kind of buy myself some time to keep everything back and go forward. And that's been huge, especially with contact coming off the bat, staying through the ball, not rolling over, not fouling stuff off. Like that sink move into the front side has been huge for me.
How do analytics work for hitters? I know how it works for pitchers in the organization with the Rapsodo machine. I would assume the TrackMan's big for the hitters in the organization. So how do all the analytics help hitters in the Dodgers organization?
Yeah, so we use TrackMan a lot, kind of track exit velos and stuff. We also have True Media, which will show like our hot zones, what we're doing, where our power is, where we're not, our breaking ball power, basically where we should be looking in the zone to attack. That is going to be best for us. Like it's always a chess match against pitchers because.
So it shows you your highest exit velos based on which quadrant or wherever the ball's pitched. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so like it'll give you like heat maps and stuff to like show us what we're going on. So like we look at that. Like I'll look before a game and be like, okay, like just say mine's up and in. And this pitcher's his spot is down and away. So now it's kind of like a little chess match. Like, do I adjust my game plan to go to his, or do I wait for him to make a mistake on me? And you just kind of go from there. It's really it's fun. It's fun.
That's intriguing. That is very fun. And I would imagine that's a constant battle because, sometimes you're like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to go back to what I do best. And then sometimes you're like, you know what? I'm going to try to pick on this other guy's weakness. So I would assume that's a constant battle, and that's kind of the fun part of it, huh?
Yeah, no, it really is. It's a battle. But like I said earlier, pitchers seem to be repetitive. They get in the groove without really knowing it. And so knowing their tendencies is another big part of the game going in, especially in certain counts, runners in scoring position, runners on base, stuff like that. They have their tendencies. So knowing all that information going in is very helpful.
You have what I call an elite hit tool. If you haven't seen this guy hit, trust me, this guy is one of the best hitters, not only in the Dodgers organization as a prospect, but of any prospect. And I go to a lot of minor league baseball games. This guy has a hit tool that is as good as anybody's. This guy can just flat out hit the baseball. So you have what I call an elite hit tool. And so for all the kids out there that want to be like you, that want to be able to hit the baseball like you, that want to be able to create hard contact when your timing's not perfect, or not strike out like you just never did in high school and in college, and then be able to add power to that as you go along the way. What is your advice for those kids growing up to become a hitter like you?
Yeah, I mean, advice for kids, you got to have fun with it. You can't shut down, you can't get aggravated, and if you're working on something, it's not going to feel good right away. Like I said, you're going to have moments where it's like, I don't know if I should be doing this, but you got to trust, you got to buy in, keep working, and eventually you will have that moment where it's like, that's it. That's what I feel. So buy in, don't get down on yourself, keep going, and just try to have as much fun with it as you can.
We've hit on this, and this is my last question. We're talking with outfielder and Dodgers organization, Ryan Ward. Ryan, I appreciate you spending so much time with me this afternoon. Very kind of you to do. I know this is just a crazy part of the year for you, so I appreciate your time. But, okay, you hit over 400 in college. You only struck out one time in high school, only about 30 times in college. So then you have all these people saying, well, hey, let's change things. Boy, howdy, with that kind of success in your background, I don't know that I could have bought into that. That had to have been a difficult thing just to buy into.
Yeah, I mean, at first it was, but I mean, I trusted them. I bought in right away. I mean, I think I switched. I went from that early stride to a toe tap. I worked on it one day in the cage midseason when I was in Ogden, right after getting drafted. I worked on it the next day in the cage, and when I was leaving the cage, I just mentioned like, hey, like, when should I be like transferring this into the game? Like, when should I like start working on this in the game? They're like, why don't you just do it today? And I was like, oh, like, you want me to just we've worked on this for one day and we're just going to go game here. But yeah, I mean, I trusted them. I knew that once they started showing me too, like the True Media stuff, the TrackMan, like other people's swings, like I was very side to side. So I could cover up pretty well. I could cover middle. Anything to the opposite field was kind of like a slice I would hit because my barrel was going east to west. So once they kind of explained what I was changing, why I was changing it, it was very easy for me to be like, okay, like, let's do it. I'm all in with this.
That is awesome. And the Dodgers are very linear in the sense that, that they move their players one step at a time. Typically speaking, at the end of the year, you move up to the next level. You start the next year at that level. Then at the end of that year, you move up. So when you make changes like that and you're trying to branch out and create the best player that you possibly can be, what's awesome about the Dodgers is that there's so much talent in the organization. they give you enough time to make those changes before you actually have to hit baseballs that matter, right?
Yeah, no, they give you plenty of time. And if you don't feel like you're ready, you can be honest. If you don't like something, you can be honest. Like, no one's gonna turn an eye to you because you say like, oh, like I'm not feeling this. They're gonna find something that is what they want, but also works with you, which is really, really good. And it's helped me a ton, like being able to have open communication and being like, I don't really like how that feels. Like, this is what I'm feeling when I do that, and I don't think that's right. And just making small adjustments, different drills, different techniques to get into the spot that they're picturing in my own way it's amazing.
So you're happy with where you're at in the game of baseball right now. You're very happy with the way that you played golf today. That's even more important than being happy with where you're at with baseball. You played well in your scramble, so all is good in the world of Ryan Ward. So I appreciate you joining me this afternoon, and just best of luck in 2022. I can't wait to watch you whenever you make it up to AA Tulsa.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here, and thank you for having me.